Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined, of course, by Michael Cohen. So, Cohen, over the weekend, Donald Trump sent Shady Vance to give interviews, and JD Vance said the Democrats need to stop bullying us. He said the Democrats are engaging in schoolyard bullying, and he says it's unfair. Over the weekend, Donald Trump posted Donald Trump's ridiculous conspiracy theories and said that the crowds that Vice President Kamala Harris are drawing are AI and not real crowds. I mean, they're obviously real crowds, but Donald Trump saying that. Today, Donald Trump is saying that the New York Times Siena poll is rigged against him. I mean, a real big meltdown. But what do you make of Shady Vance? Donald Trump writes, everything about Kamala is fake. What do you think about Shady Vance saying, stop bullying us? You're being too mean, Michael Cohen.
Yeah, wah. It's like, wah. And I don't want to be the guy who's bullying you, Shady, but wah. Somebody call the wambulance. I mean, talk about a group of people that are completely detached from reality. There is nothing that comes out of their mouth, either of them, that isn't like, fourth grade or fifth grade schoolyard nonsense. It's incredible. I mean, I'm going to have Brian on my podcast on Friday, by the way, but it's 100% right. I mean, this whole thing is crazy. Look at some of the names he calls people, from Crooked Hillary, Crazy Nancy Pelosi, Sleepy Joe, Coco Chow, Lion Ted, Ron DeSanctimonious, Birdbrain Nikki Haley, Old Crow McConnell, Gavin Newsom, Pencil Neck Shift. In fact, he was really calling him Shifty Shift. Then you have Pocahontas, who he's referring to. What's her name? Why am I blanking on her name? Crying Chuck and Kamala. I mean, those are just to name a few. You had Little Marco. I mean, you had Low Energy Jeb. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter, what party that you are affiliated with. Donald J. Trump has let me rephrase that. Donald von Schitzenpants has a nickname for everyone, as does Shady Vance. So when they want to go ahead and start crying foul that all of a sudden Democrats or others are calling them, Elizabeth Warren, you're right, that all of a sudden it's like, everybody stop. We have to become more mature. We have to unite instead of being so divided as a country. Come on. Who's falling for it?
What'd you make of that bizarre interview last night with Elon Musk? They say 1 billion people listen to it. By the way, I hope 1 billion people listen to it, but clearly 1 billion people didn't listen to it. I mean, Donald Trump, had you ever noticed this about him, Michael Cohen? Does he have fake teeth? I mean, what's going on with this?
So,
this slurring was really, really bad. What was going on there?
By the way, he does not have fake teeth. He may have an implant. He certainly has laminates, but he does not have fake teeth. And he doesn't have dentures that were falling out. When he's on the phone, he was probably, for all eating. And he's tired. That's the thing that I'm noticing a lot about Trump right now. And it's not something that I saw often. He's very tired. He looks tired. He looks like he has no energy, right? Talk about low energy. The guy looks like he's completely run out of it. And that's why, he's just, and that's exactly what he was. He's sitting there. He's actually bored. He's bored to be on that interview. And I think that they were thinking, meaning he and Elon Musk, that there were going to be many, many more people on the site listening to whatever you want to call this, an interview. I didn't know that Elon Musk, amongst everything else that he does, that all of a sudden now he's a journalist and he is interviewing Donald Trump. When they saw that there was only like 3 million people on it, well, that's a lot of people. It's not what they thought it was going to be. They thought it was going to be like 100 million people or something between the two of them. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I think that the number was as low as it was. First, there's actually more than one reason. I think there's two. The first is no one gives a shit, right? We're just all tired of listening to the same whining, bitching, belly aching, crying by Donald about how the election was stolen and, how they're doing it to him again. And the fact that now Joe Biden's not the candidate for the presidency, but Kamala is, and that all of a sudden now, she shouldn't be allowed to run, and everything about her is fake, that she is a chameleon, right? You may have seen that one. It gets to a point where it's just tiring. And second, I think people realized that this was not going to be an interview that you were going to learn anything new. It was just going to be Elon Musk playing to his own ego, talking to Donald, and Donald thinking that now he's got Elon Musk on his side, who would be able to do things for him on Twitter, as well as, don't forget, Trump is excited to get back that 45 million a month that Elon pledged, which he's not going to give him. That's really the two reasons I believe. It just wasn't really worth any. It was not just. It really just wasn't worth your time.
Well, I think we actually have some video that hasn't been seen before from that interview. Let's take a look at it, Jeremy.
I may be a craven little coward, but I'm a greedy craven little coward. I just gotta have that 5 G's.
Sorry, this was really the clip. This was really the clip right here where he was saying that he thought that the Time magazine cover with Kamala Harris looked like Melania, and then he called Kamala Camellia or something, or Camille. Here, play this clip.
She's terrible, but she's getting a free ride. I saw a picture of her on Time magazine today. She looks like the most beautiful actress ever to live. It was a drawing, and actually, she looked very much like our great first lady, Melania. She didn't look like Camilla. That's right. But of course, she's a beautiful woman, so we'll leave it at that, right?
What do you make of that, Cohen?
Well, first of all, he's just being himself. He's being an asshole. First of all, he knows her name is Kamala, not Camilla. Second of all, I don't think the picture looks anything like Melania, but what he's trying to do there is he's trying to, he's trying to brag about the fact that his wife, Melania, is a model, and that it basically, in his mind, that it should have been Melania on Time magazine, gracing the front cover, and anything that he can do to disparage. And I do just want to go back to something, Ben, that we were talking about earlier on. He really doesn't sound right. Can we play that one more time? And not for the content that he's saying, but just the sound. Something really sounds wrong. Maybe he had food in his mouth, or he's not feeling well. I don't know, but I've never heard Donald sound this way. Maybe I've heard him sound this way once or twice when he was sick, like with a cold or something. But this one is really interesting. Can we play that again, Jeremy?
She's terrible, but she's getting a free ride. I saw a picture of her on Time magazine today. She looks like the most beautiful actress ever to live. It was a drawing, and actually, she looked very much like our great first lady, Melania. She didn't look like Camilla. That's right. But of course, she's a beautiful woman, so we'll leave it at that, right?
He had some work done on his teeth, that maybe he had Novocaine in his mouth or something like that, because that you hear this. And that's not how he said. It's not dentures. Let me be very clear about it. You know, Daffy Duck is also Daffy Duck's one of my favorite all time. It is not dentures. I don't care how many people want to turn around and talk about this slurring of his speech. Donald does not have dentures. I can tell you that for a fact. It's almost though as if, like I said, that he maybe had some work done on his mouth or something like that. Something's there. All right. And it's not being drugged up either. I'm telling you, it's almost like if he had work done on his mouth and he couldn't really find his tongue because the slurring and the lisping that is going on there. It's I don't know. It's not something I have ever heard Donald sound like. It's very odd. And
Here he talks about abolishing the Department of Education. Let's listen to some of these clips. Let's play this one next, Jeremy.
And what I'm going to do, one of the first acts, and this is where I need an Elon Musk. I need somebody that has a lot of strength and courage and smarts. I want to close up Department of Education.
Again, it's almost as if maybe he burnt his tongue on a slice of pizza or something. Elon Musk, you know, and it's true. It sounds like Daffy Duck. There's something going on. And it has to do with his mouth. It has nothing to do with dentures. There's definitely something there. Maybe he had some, again, work done on his teeth or something like that. But whatever the hell it is, something does not sound right.
Here he says that he's okay with climate change and rising sea levels because he thinks that will give him more oceanfront property. Let's play this clip.
You know, the biggest threat is not global warming, where the ocean's going to rise 1/8 of an inch over the next 400 years. And you'll have more oceanfront property, right? The biggest threat is not that. The biggest threat is nuclear warming.
He's such an idiot. You know, we've been listening to Von Schitzenpants for how many years now as a climate change denier. Here's the difference, right? And it makes perfect sense that he wants to do away with the Department of Education. In that way, you know, everybody in the country will be as stupid and as uneducated as he is. It's a fucking joke, to be honest with you. Here's the thing. We have scientists, oceanographers, and scientists that are plotting out what is going on with the rise in the sea level. And it is not 1/10 of an inch over a period of 400 years. The ocean level is not just warming up at an alarming rate because of the massive heat that the Earth is experiencing, but the water table is rising. And it's rising to a point where these scientists have shown year after year after year, and they have all this equipment in the ocean and around the coastline of this country, especially down there by Florida, where they turn around and they say that all the beachfront property that you see will be underwater in under 15 years, more between 10 to 15, like we'll say 12 years. That's a short period of time. You have all these people spending God knows how much money on these homes, and the water level is rising to a point that these scientists, not Von Schitzenpants, will tell you how smart he is because 50 years ago, he had an uncle that worked at MIT, right? I mean, great, fantastic, right? They are the top scientists in this area, and they are telling us that the water table is rising right now at a level that is going to basically bury Miami and sink it. So why he wants to now turn around and why he wants to deny it again, why he wants to turn around and say that it's 1/10 of an inch over 400 years, that is absolutely inaccurate. He knows it's inaccurate, but then again, he says it because he thinks it's a popularist view.
And it's, I mean, not that this is the point, but that's actually less beachfront property. When the water goes over the beach, you don't have the beach. So it just at
Well,
all levels.
it'll just become different beachfront property. I mean, eventually, because what happens is as the tides come in, it brings the dirt, the sand with it. It will ultimately make additional, additional beach type areas. But what will happen, right? So what will happen is it will sink the areas that are closest onto the beach, and then it will push everything up a half a mile, whatever the distance might be. But it's the point I'm trying to make is he knows that climate change is real. He does. We've had the conversation, in his office. He knows that it is. He just doesn't care. That's the difference. He doesn't care. And because if he turned around and he said that climate change is real and that the ocean table is rising, as is the temperature of the water, this would not bode well for when he turns around and he says, drill, 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 right? Or, let's just get rid of the EPA simply because, it interferes with our ability to manufacture, and therefore we're not being competitive in the world market. That's what Trump is saying. But unfortunately, it's really stupid. And things like this should be why people do not vote for somebody like a Donald Trump.
And there's more drilling taking place right now than ever in the history of the United States of America or any country ever in the existence of the world under the Biden-Harris administration, who are still focused on common sense climate change initiatives. There's more drilling right now. This is the first time in our history that we are energy independent. I mean, the Biden-Harris administration broke OPEC. What OPEC tried to do this summer is take their price per barrel of oil and bring it to over $100. You know why? Because they're a cartel, and cartels price gouge, and they tried to make the price as high as possible. But what the Biden-Harris administration was able to do is very smartly start sending some of our oil from our strategic reserves and selling it at the highest possible price. Then you had all of this supply out there, which brought down the demand, which brought down the price. And then the price per barrel dropped to somewhere in the $70 per barrel range. And then the Biden-Harris administration then bought more of the oil when it was at its lowest, making a massive profit between the delta of where they sold it at and where they repurchased it. That was a massive profit. Plus, we outsmarted OPEC. Plus, we're drilling more. Plus, we're focused on climate change. Like, those are just facts, and facts matter. I think it also matters, and yes, Donald Trump is slurring, and yes, he seems cognitively very unwell, but he's also saying things like this, Michael Cohen, that he says that if he loses this election, he and Elon should flee to Venezuela together. Let me just show you this right here. Here, play this clip.
And again, I told you their crime rates all over the world are going way down, which makes sense. In fact, the next time what we'll do is if something happens with this election, which would be a horror show, we'll meet the next time in Venezuela because it'll be a far safer place to meet than our country. Okay, so we'll go, you and I will go, and we'll have a meeting and dinner in Venezuela because that's what's happening.
It's a very odd thing to say. I want to get your reaction to that, Cohen, but here's what I have another question for you before getting your reaction to that. Then I want to show some of these clips from Governor Walz's speech in Los Angeles. It's an incredible speech. When do you want to hold the next Patreon Zoom meeting with our patrons? The last one was a home run.
Thursday.
To help support the growth of this show, patreon.com/Political Beatdown. I know there's a big audience here today watching this live who I'm sure want to get a chance to meet you in a Zoom meeting. When do you want to do it? You want to do it this week, early next week, or you want to talk about it offline?
Well, I want to do it this week because don't forget, I am going to the DNC convention. I will be there, and I will, be having a lot of fun. I'll be my YouTube. I'll be posting stuff there live. I'm going to be traveling with a couple of members of Congress. I'm going to be doing a couple of maybe fun projects for MSNBC, which would be great. I'll be on with you, at certain points. So it makes it a little bit difficult to do the Patreon, but I would like to do it at least this Thursday.
Yeah, we'll come up with the time. We'll let everybody know. So sign up, everybody. Patreon.com/Political Beatdown. We don't have outside investors on this show or network, so it's one of the ways you can help grow this platform. I want to talk to you about that clip about.
What I would also like to do at some point while I'm there Tuesday, Wednesday, and part of Thursday, and I'll speak to the guys in the back over there. Maybe it won't be a question and answer, but instead, I can just, with my new selfie stick and my telephone, I'll be able to just for some additional content, inside the loop content for our Patreon members.
That's cool.
Because it'll be something really cool. Special. Yeah.
I like that a lot. All right, let's take our first quick break of the show. We've got a lot to discuss, including photos of J.D. Vance leaking of him cross-dressing while he was at Yale Law School. And meanwhile, he attacks the LGBTQ plus community and wants to take away people's freedoms. Do we have that photo there, Jeremy, of him? Do we happen to have that photo at all? Yes. We'll be right back after this quick break.
So last night, I went out for dinner with my wife to this incredible Italian restaurant called San Sabino. I mean, just amazing culinary experience. And if you've got culinary taste like I do, then you know how expensive exploring your local food scene can get and how hard it is sometimes to find the time or really the energy to go try someplace new. Cook Unity is the first chef-to-you service delivering locally sourced meals from award-winning chefs right to your door every single week. And it's cheaper than any other delivery options. So go to cookunity.com/beat or enter code BEAT before checkout for 50% off your first week. So look, let me talk to you about what I ordered. All right. When I went ahead and I tried Cook Unity, I ordered grilled spicy salmon bowl. And in it, it was spicy salmon with mixed vegetables and sushi rice with sriracha and this panzu aioli. I mean, I'm drooling thinking about just how good it was. I mean, it was beyond good. All right. Without even mentioning anything, this experience, the type of food that you get, is better than anything that I order in when I just don't feel like really going out. And remember something, there's no cooking required for a chef quality dining experience right at your home with Cook Unity. Unlike other meal services, Cook Unity, it's a chef collective bringing exciting culinary talents to your table. Cook Unity works with some of the best chefs in the country to bring you creative, delicious meals every single week. And again, right to your door. Every single meal is handcrafted by chefs and it's made in local micro kitchens, not these large production facilities. And remember something too, your food arrives fresh. Never frozen in packaging that keeps meals in the fridge for up to 7 days. No, fresh. It arrives fresh. Cook Unity packaging, it's compostable, it's recyclable, and it's reusable. You pick as few as 4 or as many as 16 meals per week. I mean, talk about options. I mean, there are hundreds of dishes to choose from, and the menu is regularly updated. It's updated constantly. I mean, there are seven different dietary preferences that you can choose from. Vegan, paleo, pescatarian, gluten-free, and more. I mean, filter for soy, nut or dairy-free options in case you have allergies. Menus are posted 2 weeks in advance so that you have plenty of time to choose. So right now, I want you to go and experience chef quality meals every single week delivered right to your door. So go to cookunity.com/beat and enter code BEAT, B-E-A-T, before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using code BEAT, B-E-A-T, and going to cookunity.com/beat. That's COOKUNITY.com/beat. 50% off your first week. Go now.
Michael Cohen, great ad read
good.
right there.
That food is good. I was getting hungry. I was getting hungry listening to my own commercial.
You talk to me about it all the time. I want people to know that about these sponsors, that Cohen just doesn't let sponsors get on this network. He like lives and breathes and eats the sponsors and then talks to me about it all the time. He's like, Ben, have I told you? I'm like, yes, Cohen. You told me about it 3 times today already. Michael Cohen, what do you think about Donald Trump? Even like, there's nothing funny about it. He's the leader of the Republican Party. I mean, talking about fleeing to Venezuela on an interview with Elon Musk. I mean, if Vice President Kamala Harris made any comment like that at all, just one comment like that, you know what would happen? It would be New York Times editorial, get out of the race, what is happening, cognitive decline. But the media feels like with Donald Trump, it's like baked in. It isn't baked in. People aren't, you have to remind people of these things. People are busy. They're going about their lives. You have to report on it. Like everything I showed you there, Donald Trump denying climate change, him wanting to abolish the Department of Education, him saying that Vice President Kamala Harris looks like Melania on the Times Magazine picture, but that's not really what Vice President Kamala Harris looks like. Donald Trump talking about fleeing to Venezuela. Donald Trump slurring his words while saying that. And I'll say this, Michael Cohen, because I watch all of his speeches. On a scale of 0 to batshit crazy 10, that meeting, that interview was like a 5. That wasn't really like, for Donald Trump, that's as normal as he gets. He didn't do Hannibal Lecter. He didn't talk about sharks and being electrocuted. He wasn't doing the noise. He wasn't doing that. That was about as normal as you get him. And that was the least normal thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Look, I'm pretty sure, and I'm going to ask the brigaders if you agree with this statement to hit the blue heart on that one. There's no reason for him to flee to Venezuela. We're all willing to sign any application that he wants right now to go if he promises never to come back, right? I think each and every one of us would say, sounds great to me. Just fucking go, right? I mean, just have a nice day. You and your new boyfriend, you guys can all go fuck yourselves in Venezuela, knock yourselves out with whoever else is going to follow you there. I can assure you, none of his kids are going to follow him there. But this is what you see. Ben, look, this is all the blue hearts. I think we all agree, fucking go. Have a nice trip. In fact, I'll do something as hard as it would be for me right now after all the financial damage that this guy caused me. I personally will pay for a one-way first-class ticket for him. All right? And I'll go to our beatdown brigade and say, hey, guys, anybody want to chip in $1? Right? We'll put him on first. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. We could even send him private. I'll send him in his own private plane to Venezuela one way, as long as he promises never to ever come back. That would be worth it. I think it would be worth it, not just to me, for sure, but I think it'd be worth it to the entire country. In fact, it could be probably worth it to the whole world, right? I mean, who doesn't agree with that? $2? Thank you, Janet. Right? I mean, we'll just chip in. We'll get him his own private plane. Fuck it. I'll load his ass up with bagels and lox and all that other shit for him. Some Mar-a-Lardo burgers. We can get him a bunch of McDonald's and KFC and all the Lay's potato chips and Oreo cookies he could eat. Knock yourself out, big man. Right? I mean, come on. At 6'3", 215, he needs to put on a little weight. It's a little shy there. But fuck it. Go. We're all, and we will all stand at the tarmac and we will give him we'll give him a 2-finger salute goodbye, right? How great would that be? Says, yeah, Happy Meal. Donald's like 1 hamburger shy of a Happy Meal right now.
Michael Cohen, when we talk about Shady Vance or JD Vance and
no shady,
and when we talk about these photos of him back from Yale when he was cross-dressing, I want to be very clear. It's not at all to mock his personal decisions. The thing is that JD Vance has spent his adult life, however, now attacking the freedoms and attacking how people want to live their lives. He is anti-LGBTQ plus. He mocks the LGBTQ plus community, and he has spent his adult life not minding his own damn business and taking away people's freedoms. Look, JD Vance has changed his name 3 times, 3 different names, 4 entirely different identities. He grew up, and when he grew up, he said that he was gay. And then his grandma told him, you can't be gay. So then he became anti-gay. Then he became a fake hillbilly, anti-Trumper, and wrote a book to make money off being an anti-Trumper hillbilly. Then that phase ended. And then he kissed Donald Trump's ass and became this like right-wing echo chamber troll, taking away people's freedoms every single day. And so when you see JD Vance, and when I see him pull up that photo right there, the reality is that he looks most comfortable. He looks most joyous when he's actually who he is.
But you see, Ben, look, I'm with you on that. If this is somebody's lifestyle, as everybody, says, or at least anybody who has half a brain should be saying, mind your own fucking business. If that's how the person wants to dress, why does it bother you? You shouldn't care. Here's where I have a problem with Shady Vance, and you nailed it. Shady Vance has been a massive vocal critic, opponent of the LGBTQ plus community. He has attacked them vociferously over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? He does not get to be, as far as I'm concerned, not in my world, he doesn't get to be that hypocrite. All right? Bullshit. And we have every right to call him out on it. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. Some people may be happy with me. Some people may get angry with me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think it's a problem that he's dressed like that. Why? Not because this is a fraternity prank. All right. I remember when I was in a fraternity at American University, we had done that to a bunch of the pledges as well. We made them dress up in their girlfriends' dresses and stuff like that and go to class that way, because you just fucking around with it. They're going to be your brothers, and they're still our brothers for life, and we laugh our asses off about it. This is different. This is different. You may say, why is it different, Michael? Well, here's the answer. It's different because he's at Yale Law School. He's not pledging a fraternity. What event is it that you are doing when you're in law school, all right, that requires you to dress up in drag? I don't know. I don't know. The people is already saying, oh, it was Halloween. Really? For Halloween, why don't you go as Batman? Why don't you go as Superman? Right? Why don't you go as a hockey player? Right? Why don't you go as, there's a million things that
he's also he's in Yale Law School then. He's not a kid.
That's the point I'm trying to make. Right? This is not a fraternity stunt. This isn't some sort of a fraternity prank like we used to do, right? This is something very, very, and yeah, he looks way too comfortable. You nailed it. And I was saying to myself, and then to allow people to even take that photo, I don't know. There's something here. He is a hypocrite. He needs to be called out on it. Now, again, you were very clear. If this is somebody else other than Shady Vance, you're never going to hear me turn around and say anything about it. Why? Because I mind my own business. how you choose to dress. You want to wear a low crop, shirt, or a shirt that goes down to your knees. I don't care. None of my business. You want your hair to be blonde, brown, right? Pink, orange, makes no difference to me. Blue, so what? Knock yourself out. You be you, and I'll be me. But this is different. This is a guy who goes out of his way to be cruel, to be mean, to be bombastic to the entire LGBTQ plus community. And then this pops out. No, I think we have every right to call him out. In fact, I was talking to a buddy of mine about this last night. And I turned around and I said, I really do hope that Tim Walz, during their debate, turns around and somehow brings this up and throws it back into his face by calling him a hypocrite. There's no doubt that he's going to say something which is completely hypocritical during that entire debate. And he should turn around and he goes, well, you're extremely hypocritical. In fact, and then he can go into the whole attacks and the opposition towards the LGBTQ plus community and then bring up these photos. I think that would be classic. And that's what I would be telling Tim Walz that he should be thinking about how to do. And Tim can do it in a very honorable way.
Well, here's what Governor Walz did, I think, in a very honorable way today, because you had Shady Vance spending the entire weekend also attacking Governor Walz for stolen valor, and Donald Trump attacking Governor Walz for stolen valor. Governor Walz served in the military, not 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, which would be admirable had he done that. Not 5 years, not 10 years, which would be admirable had he done that. Not 15 or 20 years, which would be admirable had he done that. 24 years of military service Governor Walz gave to our country. And Donald Trump is accusing him of stolen valor, and Donald Trump has Shady Vance go out there and accuse him of stolen valor. So here's what Governor Walz said moments ago. Let's play this clip.
Then in 2005, I felt the call of duty again, this time of being service to my country in the halls of Congress. My students inspired me to run for that office, and I was proud to make it to Washington. I was a member of the Veterans Affairs Committee and a champion of our men and women in uniform. I'm going to say it again as clearly as I can. I am damn proud of my service to this country. And I firmly believe you should never denigrate another person's service record. To anyone brave enough to put on that uniform for our great country, including my opponent, I just have a few simple words. Thank you for your service and sacrifice. But look.
Now compare that to what J.D.
100%.
Vance said on CNN. So take that, compare that to what J.D. Vance said on CNN this weekend. Here, play this clip.
I had just been announced as the VP nominee. I gave my big speech, and I saw my wife, and I gave her a big hug and a kiss because I love my wife, and I think that's what a normal person does. Tim Walz gave his wife a nice, firm Midwestern handshake and then tried to sort of awkwardly correct for it. So I think that what it is two people, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, who aren't comfortable in their own skin because they aren't comfortable with their policy positions for the American people. And so they're name-calling instead of actually telling the American people how they're going to make their lives better. I think that's weird, Dana, but look, they can call me whatever they want to.
You're saying Tim Walz doesn't have affection for his wife? I don't even understand that.
I said that he acted weird, which he did, on a national stage in front of his wife and in front of millions of Americans.
Hello, normal people. I am a normal person.
Yeah.
My name is
J.D.
Vance. I am normal.
Yeah, you know what this is really about? This is really about the fact that Tim Walz has labeled Shady Vance and Trump weirdo, right? And weird. And that then took off and it became it went viral. So this is what that they need to do. They're trying to deflect. They're trying to turn the roles backwards. This is now, well, I just find it weird that he gave his wife a handshake and then he tried to correct himself and so on. It's funny because I've pretty much seen everything as it relates to the announcement of Kamala Harris to run for the presidency, all the way to the announcement that Tim Walz was going to be it. I lost $1 to my friend Cheyenne, who's a brigadier. I think our first brigadier, actually. I lost $1 bet to her. I really thought it was going to be Mark Kelly. But sometimes you're wrong, and I own it when I'm wrong. Lo and behold, I don't recall ever a scene where Tim Walz is not affectionate to his wife. And I also want to turn around and say, thank you, Tim Walz, for your service to this country. I am one who agrees with him completely and wholeheartedly. When I see a guy, like I was at the baseball game the other day, and this guy was sitting there, he was staring at me. I went to the Yankee game with my son and my daughter, the last game against Texas. And this guy was staring at me, and I saw he was wearing a veteran's hat. So I got up and I walked over to him. And I said to him, sir, are you a veteran? And he says, yes, I am. And I said, can I just shake your hand and thank you for your service? And he goes, and I'd like to thank you for everything that you're doing as well. You know, that day, too, at the ball game, they had a gentleman who was there, 98 years old, veteran, and so on. And I got to tell you, the stadium was packed for the game. I mean, I don't think that there was maybe more than 100 seats in the entire place that were open. The whole place stood up. And this is where Tim Walz is talking. The whole place stood up when this man received, the baseball, and that they announced that his position and the war that he fought in and so on. And I got to tell you, the whole place got up. And they showed him, a 98-year-old man, they showed him the respect that he deserved. And it's the same respect that every person who puts on the uniform, that's your firefighters, that's your police officers, that's your Capitol Police, that's your veterans, regardless of which, branch of service. These people put on a uniform to protect our democracy, to protect us on a daily basis. And we should never, ever forget that or forget them. So when Tim Walz turns around and says thank you, he knows from the heart what he's talking about, because I am sure that many people over the years have shown him the same respect. So good for him, not like a guy who ends up getting 4F because he goes to his daddy's strip mall in Queens and gets some bullshit podiatrist to turn around and claim that he has bone spurs and that he had surgery in the bottom of his feet, but he doesn't remember which foot, the whole 9 yards. Bullshit. You don't want to put on, at least own the fact that you were a coward and that you refused to fight and that you didn't care, that you were too important, to go off to Vietnam and to fight for your country, but it was okay for others to do it on your behalf. Okay. Many people were scared, nervous. You did what you did. But now, on top of that, to denigrate them, shame on him. Seriously, shame on him and shame on Shady Vance. And it's just despicable. There is no other way to describe it. It's sickening and it's despicable.
And then Shady Vance brings up the relationship between Walz and Walz's wife. I mean, that's really where you want to go down that path with Donald Trump and Melania, and with your background, Shady Vance. It's like, even when you think about the stolen valor accusation, it's like the most serious thing you can accuse a military person of, right? Stolen valor for somebody in the military. It's like the worst thing you can say to someone who actually served in the country. And for people who served, people imitating their service is like one of the worst things. So to immediately go there as your line of attack, and then to immediately then attack Governor Walz's relationship with his wife, and then for Donald Trump to immediately attack Vice President Kamala Harris for being biracial. What Governor Walz is saying about the weird is that their ideas are weird. Their ideas of like who sits around at a bar and talks about, you know what we really need to do? We need to start burning Animal Farm in books. You know what we really need to do? Let's take away IVF. You know what we really need to do? Let's take away contraception. What Governor Walz is saying is, who sits around and comes up with this?
To strip a woman of her right within which to make her reproductive decision, her decision. I mean, listen, the thing that I find the most reprehensible about all of this, we already know who Donald Trump is. We already know this is a man who refused to, go to lay a wreath because it was raining and he didn't want to get his hair and his suit wet. Remember that? This is a man who has called those who have given up their lives in service to our democracy suckers and losers. No, Donald, you're the sucker. You're the loser. All right. The only thing I got to give Donald some credit for is that he picked a running mate who was a cross-dresser. And for that, I give him a lot of credit for thinking out of the box.
Well, Donald Trump may be thinking out of the box or in his predator box by flying around on Jeffrey Epstein's airplane right now. The Donald Trump campaign wrapped Epstein's plane that Epstein used to traffic women in a Donald Trump 2024 logo. I'm not making this up, folks. As you compare the serial numbers of Epstein's plane and this plane, it is the same exact plane. Now, there are a lot of Gulfstream G550s out there. You didn't have to pick Epstein. There's a lot of private planes out there. You didn't have to pick Epstein. I want to get your reaction to this, Michael Cohen, when we come back from our last quick break of the show. Before we go, patreon.com/political beatdown. patreon.com/political beatdown. Michael Cohen and I are coming up with the next time that he's going to be on Zoom meeting with you and answering your questions. All right, let's take our last quick break of the show.
It's hot outside, and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend that you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA, and they use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so that you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. And you know what? They feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some five-star hotels. Using silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA, Miracle Made sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature, again, all night long, no matter the weather, so that you get better sleep every single night. Stop sleeping on bacteria. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. Sleep clean with Miracle. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7%. Get a look, 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. So there's no more gross odors too. Go to trymiracle.com/beat to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code BEAT, B-E-A-T, at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save, get a load of this, an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Now upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. And go to trymiracle.com/beat and use the code BEAT to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/beat to treat yourself. And thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode.
What's up, Michael Cohen? Why is Donald Trump flying around in Jeffrey Epstein's jet? Is there someone on the inside who's actually just punking him? Is it that he's good friends with Epstein, so that's his network basically extends?
Let's be real about this whole thing. First of all, Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Second of all, I don't even know who owns that plane anymore. His entire estate has been sold off. So I don't even know who owns this aircraft. What I can tell you, do you see who owns it? I'm sure it's in an LLC. We'll never figure that one out.
No. We know who bought it. It's a Republican donor who's friends with Trump.
And do you know the name of the Republican donor?
Now, not off the top of my head, but I know it's someone.
Anyway, so what happened was Trump's 757 aircraft. You know, it's very funny. It was one of the big issues in the New York Attorney General, as well as the Manhattan District Attorney case. Why is it relevant, and why am I bringing it up? And the answer is because you may recall in his statement of financial condition, it's called an SOFC. Most people know it as a personal financial statement, a PFS. Donald Trump lists that 757 Trump airplane at $100 million in value. That plane on a great day is probably worth under $15 million. Now, again, it's a lot of money, $15 million, but it's not a $100 million aircraft. If you turn around and you can Google this for yourselves, that aircraft was owned 2 or 3 times before Trump even bought it. I believe that the whole is from 1999. It's a 25-year-old aircraft. All right. Yeah, he put money. We definitely put money, and I was involved in some of it, you know, when he decided to buy it, bought it from Tom Allen. They went ahead and they redid the interior and so on. Yeah, it costs money, but it's like putting a stereo system in your car. You're not increasing the value of your vehicle by doing that. It is a 1999 whole. The engine's a 1999. This aircraft needs a lot of maintenance to it. And so the aircraft is right now grounded. And Trump is not going to fly commercial. And so he reached out to a Republican donor. And the Republican donor turned around and said, yeah, use my G550. You know, knock yourself out, Donald. And, you know, I'm sure that the campaign has to pay something, because otherwise it would be a campaign finance violation. So I'm sure they're paying, you know, the bare minimum, right? See, Trump charges the maximum. When he has Secret Service staying at his hotel or Mar-a-Lago, he's charging 2 to 3 times. Charging the United States government 2 to 3 times what you can go on hotels.com or Trivago and you can get the same room rate. He's charging like 2 to 3 times that amount. It's just typical Trump bullshit. That's why he's flying around in Epstein's old plane.
But there are a lot of planes out there, right? I mean, like, to be 1 degree separated where the one plane that you get happens to be Epstein's plane. I mean, that shows that that's like in your network, like that, you know, there's G550s, there's G6s, there's G450s, there's Bombardiers, there's a bunch of other private planes to, you know, if you wanted to.
Look, I'm shocked he didn't call Putin and ask Putin if he could send his plane over to use, or Mohammed bin Salman. I mean, he's got probably one of the best. If I'm not mistaken, I think Mohammed bin Salman's airplane is the most expensive private aircraft in the world.
Well, I mean, MBS's plane's a real modern, right? 747 or 757, you know, style plane. I mean, Trump, because he wanted to appear very rich, he took the biggest plane that was outdated, and he took basically the exterior and tried to kind of rebuild it. It's why it breaks down so much the way it does. I want to show you this, though, Michael Cohen. Donald Trump over the weekend posting the photos of Vice President Kamala Harris's crowd. And Donald Trump, as part of his meltdown, is saying that she is AIing her crowd and that her crowd is not real, that there's actually nobody who's there, and that it's all AI. Obviously, this is a completely deranged conspiracy, but shouldn't that be disqualifying in and of itself? I mean, someone who's calling this AI when we know this event took place, giving that person the nuclear codes, yet alone being anywhere near the proximity of power. I want to get your reaction to that. But what I'm seeing,
you know what this really shows, Ben? This shows that not only is he stupid, but so are the people that are around him. here's the reason why. And I don't think Ben, it's true. He is absolutely lost his freaking mind. And the idiots that are around him are just as bad as he is. And I say this, why? Well, here's something that you know. You know that there's 15, not 10,000 people that were there. There were more than 15,000 people at that hangar. And what does everybody do? Seriously, what does everybody do at any of these rallies or events? At least 75% of them, they take their cell phone. You see right there at the very bottom, and then to the left, you see all these people with their hands up in the air. What are they doing? They are live streaming. They are videoing the event for themselves to use on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, like I have on my YouTube channel, right? You go ahead and they're using this. They have to realize that there's at least 10,000 of the identical videos showing the number of people. Reuters was there. Getty Images were taking photos that were there. And all of a sudden, this ass clown, this fucking moron, goes ahead and he starts talking about how Kamala's crowds are AI generated. It should be disqualifying and so on. Ben, I want to now turn this back over to you for a second. I'm going to tell you why. Because nobody has shown and discussed better than you here on this Political Beatdown and throughout the Midas Touch Network. When Donald Trump was coming off the airplane and he starts waving to everyone, you were out there showing he was waving to nobody. Or when he exited the front door and turned to the right over at Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue, and he starts waving to people, and you pointed out on several occasions that he was waving to no one, that this is what they were setting it up. This is why Donald Trump is claiming that this crowd, it is all about deflection. He knows what he does, so he thinks everybody else is as corrupt as he is. But I think you should be the one to actually go a little deeper into this.
I mean, that's what he does at these events. He leaves the plane, he waves to nobody, he goes out of Trump Tower, he waves to nobody, and then when they edit these clips, they then edit in the crowds. So it makes it look like he's getting on the plane and waving to a crowd. Now, I'm not saying they use AI crowds. They may use another event where he's at. For example, when he was at a NASCAR event, he waved to the stadium. So it was a crowded stadium, but they weren't there for him. They were there to watch NASCAR. So he shows up and he waves at the NASCAR crowd, acting like this crowd of 60,000 people are there for him. And all they want to do is just watch, some racing. I think we have a montage of that. Here, let's play this clip. To be clear, the montage would just show 10 other instances of that. But I think you get the point right there. He waves, and then when they put these montage videos together, they'll take the crowd, and then they'll act like he's waving to a big crowd that's cheering for him. I mean, again, waving to absolutely no one. Cohen, we're getting to the end of the show. I want you to give the two-finger salute to somebody.
Well, first and foremost, let me just remind everybody on my YouTube channel, The Michael Cohen Show, we're at like 135,000 subscribers so far. If each and every one of you joins, we're getting right there to the journey, which is next one is to 250,000. So those of you that are members, thank you, because I have now gotten my silver plaque. Well, I'm waiting for it for the unboxing, which I will, of course, do both on Patreon and Political Beatdown as well. Nevertheless, who gets the two-finger salute? And I think the only person, yes, several of you have already gotten it. It has to go to Shady Vance for being the hypocritical fucking dirtbag that he is. All right? Mind your own fucking business. Worry about yourself. And if this is how you want to dress, by all means, I don't care. As the vice president of the United States, you want to walk around, with your bleached blonde bad body bullshit? Knock yourself out. It means nothing to me so long as you do a good job. But the problem is you can't do a good job because you're just a hateful, spiteful son of a bitch, plain and simple. You are a shady Vance. You are an absolute bullshit artist. When you call Kamala Harris a chameleon, you know what you're really doing? All you're doing is, again, projecting upon somebody else your own insecurities, who you are, what you are. And you are no different, by the way, than the Fuhrer whose ass you seem to be kissing on a day-to-day basis. So, Shady Vance, on behalf of all of our brigaders, on behalf of all of America, and I mean it, all of America, maybe excluding your MAGA morons, fuck you.
We just released a new video on the Midas Touch YouTube channel. So after you're done watching Political Beatdown Live, check it out. We covered Governor Walz's full speech in Los Angeles that just wrapped up moments ago. So if you want to see that speech, we have the highlights there. It's on our YouTube feed. Make sure everybody you subscribe to the Mea Culpa audio podcast, wherever audio podcasts are available. Search Mea Culpa. Make sure you subscribe. Michael's got some of the best guests in the country and some of the best discussion that I've heard in really any podcast. So make sure you subscribe on audio podcast to the Mea Culpa. Make sure you subscribe to the blue one as well. Also subscribe to Patreon.com/Political Beatdown, Patreon.com/Political Beatdown. Michael Cohen and I will soon be announcing on that Patreon feed the time. We'll see the secret Zoom link. So if you ever wanted to meet Michael Cohen, join Patreon.com/Political Beatdown. Of course, there's soar.midastouch.com as well, the best pro-democracy gear, including Mar-a-Lago Correctional Facility shirts, 100% union made, 100% made in the USA. Was used as an exhibit during the cross-examination of Michael Cohen. So get your history, store.midastouch.com. Also some great Kamala gear as well on store.midastouch.com. Thanks everybody for watching. Really appreciate you. The network is growing rapidly thanks to you. We're so grateful for it. We'll see you next time on Political Beatdown.